Hi, this is Zak Mir with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Vox Markets for Tuesday the 10th of August, starting off with Angus Energy, where it looks as though there's been decent interest for the shares at the floor of this rising trend channel from December, so the floor there around the 0.8 pence level. Above that, looking for obviously a retest of last month's peak through 1.1 pence. Big picture target here, maybe by the end of next month, up to the top of the channel and post, I suppose, 1 year resistance around the 1.5 pence level. But everything hinging here on 0.8 pence holding for Angus in the near term. Moving along to a company which has had a decent update today, Botswana Diamonds, and sort of picking the stuff off the ground at the moment. But here we've got a situation where the shares have gapped through the recent, well, I suppose the old resistance line there. Here we've got a situation where we've got this line of resistance from back in October 2019 around the 1.15 level. Need to break that sort of 1.15, 1.2 pence area to then take the shares up towards the top of the channel there from back in the summer of 2018 up to as high as 1.8 pence. So breaking 1.2 basically up to 1.8 for Botswana Diamonds. And early really back below the 50-day moving average, currently at 0.95, really delaying the upside scenario. But it looks like we've got a sort of extended base there, higher lows over the last year and a half, so that does suggest that things are set to improve. On to Dukemount Capital, where there was a RNS reach today. Here we've got a situation where we actually have in theory broken a line of resistance there from back earlier in this year, so that was around basically in March. And if I can draw this correctly, you'll see that that line was broken sort of around the turn of the month, really, and around the 0.32, 0.33 level. So that sort of explains, at least on a technical basis, why the shares are higher today. So breaking out of that triangle as well. The view here is everything hinges and has hinged for quite some time on the 50-day moving average. Really need to see an end-of-day close above that to then give the stock a chance of getting up towards post-June resistance at 0.5. So 50-day line there around 0.38, 0.37, and breaking that could take Dukemount up to the 0.5 area. The other point to note here is that we had a gap down there earlier in the month, and today would close that gap. So any close above 0.32.5 would be a gap close buy signal, which they can be quite useful for situations like this where a stock is near the lows. On to a stock which is not quite so fraught. We've got Overco Bio. Here we've got a situation where we've broken that resistance line there from September. That was at 11 pence, and above 11 pence, looking for the top of that rising trend channel from March last year, as high as 20 pence, perhaps as soon as the end of next month. Bull argument very much in place while we hold above 10. I think 10 would be the stop loss of choice at the moment, and ideally we don't go back below 11 for Ovoca. On to Powerhouse Energy, where it was interesting that the shares have gone back down to rather oversold levels. I think the last time the RSI went down to 25, the shares were around 4.5 pence, and they subsequently rallied to around 6.5 in June. The other time when the shares had an RSI of 25, which was arguably the best one, was when they were around 2.5 pence in October last year, and from that level they went up to 11. So with the RSI bouncing off 25 this month, it'll be interesting to see whether the shares can get back onto a sort of more bullish tack. Initial target here, I suppose, former resistance, former support on the way down at around 3.9 pence would do the trick as a near-term target if we get support coming in here. Last lows in December around the 2.85 level, and the recent low around the 2.75 level. So above 2.85 we actually have a bear trap as well for the shares, something to watch out for. Stock which I've liked almost purely on the basis of the name of the company rather than anything else is Quantum Blockchain. It sort of changed its name, obviously. Here we've had a wedge break at the end of last month, so around the 1 penny level, and the shares have put on 60% since then, which is pretty impressive. Also impressive is the way that they bounced off a rising 200-day moving average, and we also had the 50-day line cross below the rising 200-day line. The next time they cross, it will be a golden cross, and the run-up to a golden cross tends to be the strongest part in the technical cycle. So let's see if the shares can not only fill that gap around 1.8 pence, but also head up to retest May resistance at 2.2 pence by the end of next month. We're bullish, at least while we're above the 200-day line at 1.2 pence at the moment on Quantum Blockchain. Company which doesn't have that much charting data, but has certainly provided plenty of excitement. I think yesterday the share was around £1.30, and I was looking for a rather optimistic sounding £1.60. So far we're at £2, so that's been sort of blown out of the water. The next guess in terms of trying to guess a stock with hardly any data is that we're in a rising trend channel, steeper than the original one, up to £1.60, but actually up to as high as £2.50. That could be seen by the end of this month, while we remain above the old notional resistance at £1.60. Above £1.60 up to £2.50 if you're into that kind of wild type of highly volatile situations. Just thought I'd look at SupplyMe Capital. We've had the shares tentatively bouncing off that November support line there. That's going down towards the 0.24, 0.23 level. So there's been some reaction there, some positive reaction, a bit of bullish divergence as well. So the lower lows for August with a higher RSI. So that does suggest there is a little bit of positive momentum coming in there. And at least while we're above around the 0.24 pence level, looking forward hopefully towards the 50-day moving average at 0.34, even if the shares then come back down again after that. If you're fussy, probably want to see that line of resistance from the end of March broken at 0.29 before getting too excited about the bull argument. But it's interesting that the volumes have gone up in the stock over recent days. A stock which is in a rather better place technically at the moment is Tower Resources. Here we've had the shares hitting a previous 0.6 target now, not once but twice, which is interesting. But I thought I'd just look and see where, if we get through the 0.6 level, where the next target may be, and that looks as though it could be up to the 0.95 level, which is basically a line of resistance from January last year. So above 0.6, maybe on a weekly close basis, or at least an end of day close basis, up towards the 0.95 level. Could be possible for Tower Resources. Stop loss, I suppose, at this stage, really back below 0.45 is probably the best that one could do. That would also lock in some of the profits. Also interesting to see how, with the 50 and 200-day moving averages both rising at the moment, if we can start getting into that pre-Golden Cross type move to the upside. Finishing off with a stock which I did cover previously, not expecting it to perhaps do as well as it's done, but what a move. This was a bear trap reversal, so we had a low there in June around the 3.5 pence level, 3.45 I think was the low there, and we had a brief dip earlier or in the middle of last month down towards 3.1 pence at the low. End of day close back above the 3.45 level gave us the bear trap buy signal. We've gapped through the 50-day moving average, which is another positive. And to complete the bullish excitement with the gap down and then the gap higher today gives us an island reversal. This is a bear trap island reversal, and that is a pretty strong technical signal, or charting signal. It does give us the possibility that the shares could head up towards the top of that triangle formation as high as 8 pence over the next 4 to 6 weeks, the triangle formed in the way that I'm just drawing at the moment. So let's see if the shares can hold 5p on an end of day close basis and that resistance line, and then above the 5.5 pence level, looking for as high as 8 pence. We can clear the 200-day moving average. That's it from me today. More updates tomorrow.